Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauri Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam gangayate girim yat kripatam vande Shri Gurum Dina Tarine Jai. Hare Krishna. So, we continue reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. And today we'll discuss verse number 60. So, let us chant this sloka. Very interesting words. यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय
यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय
यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय
पुरुषस्य विपश्चिता
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
Anybody else want to chant?
यततो अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चिता इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
Translation and purport. Oh, the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Purport. There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses, but in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to the material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. Even Vishwamitra, the great sage and perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe types of penance and yoga practice, and of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to control the mind and senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot cease such material engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee, who says, Yad avadi mama chetaha Krishna padarvinde nava nava rasa dhamni udyatam prantum asita. Tad avdi bata nari sangame samar yamane bhavati mukha vikaraha sustu Nishtivanam cha. Since my mind has been agitated in the engaged in the service of lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit on the thought. Krishna consciousness is such a transcendentally nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distasteful. It is as if hungry man had satisfied with his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaj Ambarish also conquered a great yogi, Durvasa Muni, simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. Savai manaha Krishna padaravindayor vachamsi vaikunta guna no varname. So here Krishna continues his instructions, answers to Arjuna's question about Sthita Pragya. And yesterday's sloka we saw that we have to engage the mind, or the Sthita Pragya engages in higher consciousness. By that he controls. And if what happens if cannot control? So here the word used is Purushasya Vipaschitaha. Vipaschitaha, Srila Prabhupada gives the full of discriminating knowledge. That means a person who is in full knowledge, who knows what is good, what is bad, what is Shastra. So here the talk is going on about not a normal person who is engaged in the materialistic life or anything. The talk is of a higher person on a higher consciousness. He is a sadhaka, but he is in very high consciousness. Of him this talk is going on, because otherwise vipaschita does not make sense, right? Because normal person does not have the proper knowledge, spiritual knowledge. So it's talk about a person with higher consciousness, with full knowledge, and who is already endeavoring to control the senses. Yatataha, prayatana is the word is endeavoring, trying. So yatata is endeavoring. So person who is already trying, endeavoring to uh, control the senses. But what happens? Indriyani pramathini. So the senses are very agitating. And the word used is haranti. Haranti means hara. It comes from hara, right? Haran means to take away. Or like in Mahabharata, there is different stories of Haranti, right? With Krishna's and Krishna also Harti, the heart of the devotees. He takes away the heart of the devotees. So Haranti Prasabham. Prasabham means by force. By force, it takes away the mind. So if the senses are not controlled, then it will take away the mind. And once the mind is engaged in the external activities, it cannot go inside. It cannot focus on intelligence, as we discussed. And when it cannot focus on intelligence, it is not peaceful. So about these senses, this we will be seeing this more detail in the 6th chapter. But if you all can see the screen, this screen, this is the representation of the 5 senses. Uh, and it's like a chariot with 5 senses, which are 5 horses, and these reins which are used to control the horses is the mind. The chariot driver is the intelligence, and the soul is sitting here. So if these horses are wild, without any control, then they will take away the mind, the reins, right, these reins, as they want. And then the intelligence who is sitting trying to control is blind also. He cannot do anything. It just the chariot goes wherever the senses goes. And the soul is bewildered in all the situations, sitting on the chariot. You don't know what is exactly going on. You just have to follow the intelligence, and intelligence is following the horses. So mind is not doing the activity. So horses, this picture is, it will be more detailed in chapter 6, but these senses are such that they can really agitate us. So we can also understand, right? So here Krishna is telling that a person who is already trying, Vipashchita, he is already trying to endeavor, he also gets bewildered by these senses if they are not under control. And also here the example is given of Vishwamitra, because if you just try to control the senses by restriction, don't do this, don't do that, by don'ts, then it is difficult to control. but there must be something higher higher purpose. Then only when the mind is engaged in that higher purpose, then it can be controlled. But here the talk is, if you just try to control the senses, it's not possible. They will forcefully take away your mind. And once the mind is gone, you cannot do bhakti, or you cannot do austerity, you cannot do control. Nothing can is possible if the mind starts running behind the senses. So mind has to follow intelligence. For that, it has to look inside. So mind should not act on its own by the senses. It should be directed by intelligence. Then the mind will be controlling the senses. It should be the other way around. The control should be from the top, not from the bottom. So then otherwise the horses will take the chariot of this life, on a different path, and the soul and the intelligence cannot do anything. So here Krishna is telling that controlling the senses and the mind is not an easy task. For that you need something much higher, which is not of this material world. Because if you want to control something material, you have to be above the material modes. So we say, right, if you want to, there is a saying in English, if you want to solve the problem, then you should not look, analyze the problem at the same frequency. You have to analyze the problem at the higher frequency. Then only the lower frequency problems can be solved. Uh, so to solve the problems, we have to look from outside. You cannot have the solution if you just get stuck up in the problem. So similarly, if you want to control the senses, you have to have higher engagement. So Krishna will tell where to engage the mind for that higher divine consciousness that he was telling us in the 59th shloka. So that Krishna will tell tomorrow. The first time he will tell that how you can engage your mind in something higher, and then it can become your friend and not run behind the senses. So senses, there is more explanation in next chapters, but we can also feel like because we generally we try to control our anger, we try to control our actions, but we fail. Many times we fail. So it's not a surprising that if you fail to control, it's a process in which you fail and you learn. You fail and you learn. So even if you fail, we should not be very sad that I'm not able to control, because the more you become sad and focus on that thing that I cannot control, then the mind will be again focused on the negative thing, and that will create more problems. So intelligence is okay. I failed now. That's fine. So from next time, what I should do to avoid the same failure? You can fail once for one reason, but next time you should try to avoid that. So that is intelligence. So if we fail in some uh, control, we cannot change it. So we have to go ahead. We have to progress. We have to look forward and keep progressing. And then Krishna will tell tomorrow's the next few shlokas how this can be achieved by engaging in some higher purposes. So this these few shlokas of Bhagavad Gita about Sthita Pragya are very practical and very inspirational. We should aspire to be like that, so that for that we have to focus on the goal. Just aspiring will not help. We have to focus for the higher purpose. And what is that higher purpose, and where we should fix, then we will see in the tomorrow shlokas from tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So any other points, any other realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Could you please little explain about the Ambrish Maharaj, how he conquered the Durvasa Muni?
So it comes in the sixth canto. Amrish Maharaj story is in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Durvas Muni came to Amrish Maharaj's kingdom, and Amrish Maharaj was fasting about the Ekadashi, and Durvas Muni came for to his place. So generally on the Dwadashi you have to break the fast, but when Durvas Muni and his sages came, his expectation was Amrish Maharaj should wait for breaking the fast. But as the fast break time was going, the Brahmins of Amrish Maharaj told that you can break by taking water. Uh, so that that means you are not breaking promise to Durvas Muni, but you are also breaking the fast. But then Durvas Muni got angry. So he tried to punish Amrish Maharaj. But because Amrish Maharaj was the great devotee of Vishnu, Vishnu came to protect him. And then his Sudarshan Chakra followed Durvas Muni, and Durvas Muni went to Swargaloka, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, everywhere for the shelter because Sudarshan was following him. And everybody said, nobody, we cannot help you. And ultimately, like Vishnu told him that if you want to be saved, you have to take shelter of Amrish Maharaj only. He can only save you. So there, that story is like the devotee of the Lord is much in a higher position than Muni. Uh, Muni Sreshta also. Durvas Muni is Muni Sreshta. So, but still, devotee of the Lord is much higher consciousness in because he is Vaishnava and is always under protection of Krishna or Vishnu. So that is the part that Durvas Muni also lost his. He became angry, and then he lost. Amrish Maharaj, just because he was fixed in his consciousness on Krishna and Vishnu, he was able to protect himself and set an example. And that's the story comes up in fifth or sixth canto of Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so tomorrow we will see where we have to fix our mind so that we don't get agitated by the very strong senses. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Krishna.